Ladies and gentlemen, I am Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran, and today is August 16th, 2022, and this is your daily Ukraine update. And we are going to be asking if inside Russian forces there's maybe some trouble in paradise. Okay, let's get into it. All right, first off, as always, we check out the tactical map, and there's actually not been any change since yesterday. You can see they're actually about a day and a half late in updating the map. As we talked about near Bakhmut, Russians are pushing hard to make advancements towards this. I've been calling it a city. Some people in the comments are like, it's a town, it's a village. Bakhmut, whatever it is an urban area. And the Russians are advanced up to this intersection with MO3 and H32, two main highways into the city. So it probably seems like they are maybe preparing for a finalized assault, though what's interesting is that this gap here remains, and as we've talked about, as long as this gap is here, I think the Russians are going to be reluctant to put in a big beachhead into Bakhmut because, well, they're going to be exposed on 3 sides. They've also made this very minor advance here near Bakhmutsky. There are some rumors that Russian offensives are starting to take some territory near Seversk, starting to make some very tiny advancements here, literally just a mile or less at a time. Some reports are also indicating that the area around Bohododichne, that there's been continued Ukrainian liberation of towns, particularly to the north of Bohododichne and Dohemki. But again, we will wait and see if that gets confirmed. And as always, of course, updates on the Kherson front are limited. There's some of this is, of course, Ukrainian Ministry of Defense embargoes. But as discussed, it seems, for weeks, I've said, hey, I think the preparatory phase is coming to an end, and there's always been more preparatory phases. So I'm very curious to see if at some point they will transition to a proper counteroffensive instead of just preparing the battlefield by cutting off supplies, seizing nearby towns, staging artillery, etc. But what I think is way more interesting is, and we'll look at it, is this video here. All right, let's see if we can watch it. This is from a Telegram channel that has been shared pretty widely on Ukrainian news telegrams, and it is supposedly an LNR, Luhansk People's Republic battalion, stating that they refuse to fight. And as you can see, these guys are looking pretty haggard. They look like the irregular kind of militia that they are, frankly. And what this reportedly is that this is LNR Battalion 2740 refusing to fight for the DNR. The soldiers said that they celebrated their victory July 3rd. LNR forces liberated Luhansk Oblast with the seizure of Lysychansk, and that their work is done. They've secured independence for their territory. And now, of course, they've been reassigned to fight for the DNR. Of course, as discussed, some of the reported casualty rates are through the roof for these DNR and LNR units, both because they're not as well trained, they're under-equipped with leftover Russian gear, and, of course, they are just a part of a smaller country. They don't want to fight in the DNR. It's not their territory. They've done their part, and they want to go home. And, man, it is understandable. They were told they were fighting to achieve their own independence, and they appear to have done so, and now are reassigned to fight in the Donetsk Oblast. While there's no proof that it's authentic, they said there is reflective of a larger trend that the LNR is just a little less invested in this now that their territory has been liberated. And, of course, as you guys know, Russian forces have had a really hard time recruiting anyone to fight in this conflict. We've seen footage of some, at first it looked like some fairly fit and capable older gentlemen doing some military training, but the leaked footage I looked at actually on the Patreon yesterday showed overweight, looked like extremely out of shape, very old men trying to form a volunteer battalion. So again, a really, really potentially bad news for Russian forces who keep trying to offset their losses in this conflict. So anyway, guys, also just wanted to thank again the patrons of Patreon. As you guys know, I have had a number of videos that get demonetized, made age restricted, and just sort of pushed down to the bottom of the algorithm mysteriously. So much so that I've actually started hosting my Patreon videos on Vimeo, a different service. But if you want to check out the spiciest combat videos and my breakdowns of them, you want to become a member of the Patreon. Thanks, of course, to our Lieutenant tier patrons. The link is in the description. I'll see you guys in the next one.